21 Savage just crossed a line that has the entire hip-hop industry in absolute panic mode. We're not talking about bars. We're not talking about diss tracks. This man just publicly announced he wants to physically fight Kendrick Lamar. Yes, you heard that right. Fight. Hands. Violence. And the reason why he's doing this is because 2 years after Kendrick absolutely destroyed Drake in their rap beef, Drake's whole camp is still traumatized, still shaking, still having nightmares about Kendrick's pen. And now 21 Savage has finally snapped and declared war. But this whole situation is way deeper than just some rapper beef. There's a hidden conspiracy, secret phone calls, and an entire anti-intellectual movement trying to erase real lyricism from hip-hop forever. Buckle up, because what I'm about to expose is insane. All right, so everybody thought they knew what was happening in hip-hop right now. Drake got bodied by Kendrick back in 2024. The beef was over. Kendrick won. Drake took the L. We all moved on, right? Wrong. Because new information just dropped that completely flips the script on everything we thought we understood. Turns out, behind closed doors, Drake's entire team has been spiraling. They've been having secret conversations, venting sessions, literal therapy-style meetings about how Kendrick dismantled Drake so brutally that they're still not over it. And 21 Savage? He's been right there in the middle of it all, watching his boy Drake suffer, watching the embarrassment, watching the humiliation, and he finally decided enough is enough. But instead of responding with music, instead of actually trying to compete lyrically, he went a completely different route. He challenged Kendrick to a fight. And that decision, that one statement, just ripped open an underground war that's been brewing in hip-hop for years. A war between real skill and manufactured hype, between intellectuals and anti-intellectuals, between people who respect the craft and people who want to destroy it. And it gets even crazier from here. So let me break down exactly what 21 Savage said, because the words matter here. During a recent interview, Savage made this comment that sent shockwaves through the entire industry. He said, and I quote, "I don't come from that rap world." Now, on the surface, that might sound like nothing. But when you understand the context of what he's really saying, it becomes a full-blown threat. What he's actually communicating is this: I'm not competing with Kendrick lyrically. I'm not trying to battle him with bars. I'm ready to throw hands. Think about that for a second. A rapper, in the middle of a rap beef, is saying he doesn't want to rap. He wants to fight. That's like a basketball player saying, "Nah, I don't want to play basketball against you. I want to box you instead." It makes zero sense unless you realize what's really happening here. 21 Savage knows he can't touch Kendrick with lyrics. He knows that. Drake learned that the hard way. So instead of even attempting to compete where it matters, in the music, he's trying to shift the whole battlefield to something else entirely. Violence, intimidation, street politics. But it didn't stop there. He then went on to call Kendrick a, slight mocking in tone, a book bag rapper. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, that's a straight-up diss aimed at lyricists. It's a way of saying, oh, you write your rhymes down? You study? You actually care about the craft? That makes you weak. Yeah, because apparently having talent and skill is something to be ashamed of now. And here's where things get really twisted. Multiple insiders are now coming forward saying that 21 Savage and Drake have been secretly gossiping about Kendrick for years. Like literal years. They've been on phone calls together, venting, complaining, dissecting every Kendrick move, every Kendrick accomplishment, and they've been driving themselves crazy trying to figure out how to respond. But they never do. They never actually drop music. They never actually compete. They just talk and plot and whisper. And allegedly, during one of these secret conversations, 21 Savage told Drake something dangerous. He reportedly said, "Bro, stop trying to rap with him. Start hitting him." Now, let me be clear. This is all allegedly. These are reports coming from people close to the situation. but multiple sources are confirming similar stories. And when you start seeing patterns like this, you gotta pay attention. Meanwhile, Drake himself was caught on a Twitch stream recently, hyping up the idea of a boxing match with Kendrick. Not a rap battle, not a lyrical showdown, a literal boxing match. This man got destroyed so badly in their beef that he's now trying to find any other way to compete that doesn't involve actually rapping. And that tells you everything you need to know about where Drake's head is at it. He's desperate, he's embarrassed, and he's willing to try anything to regain some sense of dominance over Kendrick, even if it means completely abandoning the art form that made him famous in the first place. But here's the thing that really makes this whole situation wild. This isn't just about 21 Savage being emotional. This isn't just about Drake being insecure. There's a much bigger conspiracy at play here. And it involves an entire movement within hip-hop that's trying to erase intellectualism, erase lyricism, and erase everything that Kendrick Lamar represents. And I'm about to break that down for you right now. All right. So to really understand why 21 Savage is acting this way, we gotta rewind and talk about what actually happened during the Drake and Kendrick beef. Because a lot of people heard the diss tracks, saw the memes, and moved on. But they don't understand the psychological damage that beef caused to Drake's entire operation. When Kendrick dropped those tracks, he didn't just attack Drake. He dissected him. He exposed him. He questioned his authenticity, his blackness, his role as a father, his friendships, his business relationships. Kendrick turned Drake's whole public image into a question mark. And he did it with such precision, such skill, that there was no way to respond without looking even worse. Drake tried. He dropped tracks, he threw shots, but everything he said just made Kendrick's points stronger. It was like watching someone dig their own grave deeper and deeper with every bar. And the thing is, this wasn't just some quick back and forth that ended after a few weeks. This beef lingered. The internet kept replaying Kendrick's bars, the memes kept coming, the jokes kept coming, and Drake had to sit there and just take it. Because responding would have made it worse. Now, imagine being 21 Savage and watching your boy go through that. Watching someone you're close with get absolutely demolished on a public stage. Watching the whole world laugh at him. Watching his credibility as a rapper get questioned. That's gotta mess with you, right? But here's the problem. 21 Savage isn't mad because Drake got disrespected. He's mad because Kendrick is better. And that's something he can't accept. He can't accept that someone who studies the craft, who writes meticulously, who actually cares about lyricism, is dominating the industry. Because if Kendrick can do that, what does that say about rappers like 21 Savage who don't operate that way? What does that say about their value, their relevance? So instead of respecting the skill, instead of acknowledging that Kendrick is just on a different level, they're trying to tear him down. They're trying to make lyricism seem lame. They're trying to make intelligence seem weak. They're trying to rewrite the rules of hip-hop so that their lack of depth doesn't look like a disadvantage. And this is where the story gets even darker, because 21 Savage's comments aren't happening in a vacuum. There's been a coordinated effort over the past few months from multiple people in Drake's circle to push the same narrative. The Game did it. Other artists have hinted at it. And now 21 Savage is saying it directly. They're trying to create a movement, an anti-intellectual, anti-lyrical movement that prioritizes street credibility over actual skill. And if they succeed, it could fundamentally change what hip-hop values. But we're going to get to that conspiracy in a minute. First, let's talk about this book bag rapper comment, because that's where 21 Savage really showed his hand. So 21 Savage called Kendrick a book bag rapper. Let that marinate for a second. He used the phrase book bag rapper as an insult, as if carrying a book bag, as if being educated, as if studying your craft is something to be embarrassed about. And honestly, that comment right there exposed everything. It exposed the insecurity. It exposed the anti-intellectualism. It exposed the fact that certain people in hip-hop are threatened by artists who actually take their art seriously. Because let's keep it real, Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest lyricists of all time. His albums are studied in universities. He won a Pulitzer Prize. He has created music that will be remembered for generations. And he did all of that because he treats rap like a craft, not just a hustle. But to 21 Savage, that's a weakness? Being skilled is a weakness? Caring about your art is a weakness? That's the wildest take I've ever heard. And the thing is, this book bag rapper narrative isn't new. It's been used for years to try to discredit conscious rappers, lyrical rappers, artists who don't fit the stereotypical street image. It's a way of gatekeeping what real hip-hop is supposed to be. But here's what they don't want you to realize. Hip-hop was built by intellectuals. It was built by people who studied language, who experimented with wordplay, who used their art to tell stories and challenge systems. Grandmaster Flash, Rakim, Nas, Jay-Z, Biggie, Tupac. These are all people who studied the craft. So when 21 Savage disrespects book bag rappers, he's not just dissing Kendrick, he's dissing the entire foundation of hip-hop. He's disrespecting the culture. And that's where a lot of people started turning on him. Now, let me show you why this comment was so calculated. Because 21 Savage isn't dumb. He knew exactly what he was doing when he said that. He was trying to plant a seed in people's minds. A seed that says Kendrick might be talented, but he's not authentic. He's not real. He's just a nerd with a notebook. And if that narrative takes hold, it gives people permission to dismiss Kendrick's dominance. It gives people permission to say, yeah, he's skilled, but so what? That doesn't make him the best. It rewrites the criteria for greatness to exclude the very thing that makes Kendrick great. Now, here's where 21 Savage messed up. The internet doesn't forget. And fans online immediately started digging into his past to see if he has been consistent with this energy. And guess what they found? Hypocrisy, straight up undeniable hypocrisy. And I'm going to break that down for you in a minute. But first, we need to talk about the bigger picture here, because this isn't just about one comment. This is about an entire agenda that's been spreading through hip-hop, and it's way more sinister than you think. All right, so here's where things get really deep, because what we're witnessing right now isn't just random beef. It's not just egos clashing. This is a coordinated effort by certain people in the industry to push an anti-intellectual agenda, and it's been building for a while. Now, let me lay out the pattern for you. First, The Game came out a few months ago and made similar comments about Kendrick, questioning his authenticity, trying to paint him as someone who's disconnected from the streets. Then, other artists started subtly echoing that same narrative, and now 21 Savage is saying it directly. Three people, all connected to Drake's circle, all pushing the same message. That's not a coincidence. That's strategy. And the goal? To tear down Kendrick's image by making lyricism seem irrelevant, to make skill seem boring, to make intelligence seem fake. Because here's the thing, Kendrick Lamar represents a threat to a certain type of artist. He represents a threat to people who rely on production, marketing, and image more than actual talent. He represents a threat to the commercialized, processed, assembly line version of hip-hop that dominates the charts. And when someone like Kendrick comes along and dominates with only 6 albums in 15 years, it exposes how hollow a lot of other artists are. It exposes how much the industry prioritizes quantity over quality. It exposes how much more certain artists are propped up by labels rather than earning their spot through skill.
Now, I'm not saying there's some secret Illuminati-level conspiracy here, but I am saying that certain people in the industry have a vested interest in protecting the status quo, and Kendrick disrupts that status quo every time he drops. Think about it. Kendrick's success proves that you don't need to drop an album a year. You don't need to flood the market with content. You don't need to play the industry game. You just need to be undeniable. And that terrifies certain people, because if fans start valuing quality over quantity, if fans start demanding substance over vibes, a lot of artists are going to get exposed. A lot of careers are going to crumble. A lot of money is going to dry up. So what do? They try to change the narrative. They try to make Kendrick's strengths look like weaknesses. They try to gaslight the culture into believing that skill doesn't matter as much as authenticity or street credibility or whatever other metric they get at an event, to discredit him. And Savage's comments are a perfect example of that strategy in action. By calling Kendrick a book bag rapper, he's trying to make fans question whether Kendrick's success is even legitimate. He's trying to plant doubt. He's trying to shift the conversation away from talent and to some vague, undefined concept of realness. But here's the problem with that strategy. The internet is too smart for it. Fans see through it. And when they started digging into Savage's own history, they found receipts that completely destroyed his argument. And I'm about to show you exactly what they found.
The hypocrisy exposed. Okay, so this is where 21 Savage's whole narrative falls apart. Because fans online, bless them, they turned into detectives. They went through old interviews, old tweets, old lyrics, everything. And they found something huge. They found a clip of 21 Savage dissing Lil Durk using the exact same word that Kendrick used against Drake. You heard that right. 21 Savage, the same person who's now saying he wants to fight Kendrick for disrespecting Drake, previously used that same insult against Lil Durk. But guess what? He never challenged Durk to a fight. He never talked about throwing hands. He never said, "I don't come from that rap world." He just said it and moved on, like a normal rapper would. So why is Kendrick different? Why does Kendrick using that word suddenly cross a line, but when 21 Savage himself used it, it was fine? Why does Kendrick deserve a physical confrontation, but Lil Durk didn't? The answer is obvious. It's not about the word. It's not about disrespect. It's about fear. 21 Savage is scared of what Kendrick represents. He's scared of the fact that Kendrick can end careers with a verse. He's scared that if Kendrick ever decided to target him directly, there would be nothing he could do to respond. So instead of accepting that reality, he's trying to intimidate Kendrick into silence. But that's not gonna work, because Kendrick doesn't move off of fear. Kendrick moves off of skill. And no amount of posturing, no amount of threats, no amount of tough talk is going to change the fact that lyrically, 21 Savage can't touch him. Now, when this clip started circulating online, the backlash was immediate. Fans started calling out the hypocrisy. They started pointing out the double standard. They started asking the same questions I'm asking right now. And you know what 21 Savage's response was? Silence. Absolutely nothing. Because what can he say? The receipts are out there. The evidence is clear. He got caught in a lie, and there's no way to spin it. But it gets even better, because fans didn't stop there. They started digging into other instances where 21 Savage showed similar behavior. Instances where he talked tough, but never backed it up. Instances where he moved strategically rather than authentically. And they started a pattern emerging, a pattern that shows 21 Savage isn't as real or street as he wants people to believe. A pattern that shows he picks and chooses when to have that energy based on who benefits him politically. Now, I'm not saying 21 Savage is fake, but I am saying that his tough talk towards Kendrick looks a lot more like strategy than authenticity. It looks like he's trying to score points with Drake. It looks like he's trying to position himself as loyal. It looks like he's trying to build his brand off of someone else's dominance. And that's exactly the type of behavior that hip-hop is supposed to call out.
Because hip hop has always been about authenticity. It's always been about keeping it real. And when someone moves inauthentically, when someone talks tough but doesn't back it up, the culture has always checked them. So the question now is, how does 21 Savage respond? Does he double down? Does he admit he was wrong? Does he just ignore it and hope it goes away? We'll see. But in the meantime, let's talk about what industry insiders are really saying behind closed doors, because the stuff I'm hearing is wild.
Industry insiders speak. All right, so I've been talking to people who work behind the scenes, producers, engineers, managers, label executives, and the stories they're telling me about what's happening with Drake's camp right now are insane. Multiple sources are saying that Drake's team has been in full-on crisis mode ever since the Kendrick beef. Like, not just disappointed, not just embarrassed, full-blown panic. They're reportedly having meetings about how to shift the narrative. They're discussing strategies to minimize Kendrick's dominance. They're exploring ways to discredit him without directly engaging. One source told me, and I'm paraphrasing here, that Drake's team views Kendrick's pen as a career-ending weapon. Those were the words used. A weapon. That's how dangerous they think he is. And that tells you everything. Because if you're that scared of someone's talent, it means you know you can't compete. It means you know that on a level playing field, you lose. Another insider claimed that 21 Savage has been unusually emotional behind the scenes whenever Kendrick's name comes up. Like, more emotional than makes sense for someone who's not directly involved. And that raises questions about what his personal stake in all of this really is. Is he just defending his friend? Or is he personally threatened by what Kendrick represents? Is he worried that if lyricism becomes the standard again, his own career might be at risk? I don't have the answers to those questions, but the fact that they're even being asked says a lot. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. There's allegedly a group chat that's been circulating in certain circles. I haven't seen it myself, so take this with a grain of salt. But multiple people are claiming it exists. And supposedly this group chat includes members of Drake's team discussing strategies to undermine Kendrick. The messages reportedly talk about pushing the book bag rapper narrative. They talk about questioning his authenticity. They talk about finding ways to make his wins seem less impressive. They talk about recruiting other artists to echo these talking points publicly. Again, I can't verify this, but if it's true, that's a whole different level of coordination. That's not just beef, that's a campaign. And here's the thing that really bothers me about all of this. Hip-hop is supposed to be about competition. It's supposed to be about who's the best rapper, who has the best bars, who can tell the best stories. But what we're seeing now is people trying to win by changing the rules. They're trying to win by making talent irrelevant. They're trying to win by tearing down the very foundations of what makes hip-hop great in the first place. And if we let that happen, if we let this anti-intellectual agenda take hold, we're gonna lose something precious. We're gonna lose the art form. We're gonna lose the culture. And that's why this situation is about so much more than just 21 Savage talking tough. It's about the future of hip-hop. It's about what we value. It's about whether skill still matters. And right now, the industry is split. There is a civil war happening, and I'm about to break down exactly what that looks like. The Civil War. So here's where we're at. Hip-hop is currently divided into two camps, and the battle lines are pretty clear. On one side, you have what I'm calling the intellectual kingdom. This is Kendrick's empire. This is the side that values lyricism, storytelling, depth, substance. This is the side that believes hip-hop should be treated as an art form, not just a product. Artists in this camp respect the craft. They study the greats. They push boundaries. They care about legacy more than streams. They're willing to take years between projects to make sure what they drop is perfect. On the other side, you have what I'm calling the anti-lyrical machine. This is Drake and 21's camp. This is the process beat, high volume, commercial focus side of hip hop. This is the side that prioritizes marketing over messaging, image over substance, quantity over quality. Now, I'm not saying everyone in this camp is talentless. Drake has made great music. 21 Savage has made solid tracks. But what I am saying is that this camp represents a different philosophy. A philosophy that sees hip hop as a business first and an art form second. And right now, these two camps are at war. Not just musically, but philosophically. They're fighting over what hip hop is supposed to be, what it's supposed to value, what it's supposed to reward. And Kendrick's dominance in 2024 really brought this war to the surface. Because Kendrick proved that you can win without playing the industry game. You can win without dropping constantly. You can win without chasing trends. You just need to be undeniable. And that success has the other side panicking. Because if Kendrick's approach becomes the standard, a lot of artists are in trouble. A lot of careers that are built on hype rather than skill are going to collapse. A lot of money is going to disappear. So what do? They try to tear him down. They try to make his success seem accidental. They try to make him seem less impressive. They try to rewrite history. And 21 Savage's comments are a perfect example of that strategy. By challenging Kendrick to a fight instead of a rap battle, he's trying to say your skill doesn't matter. I can just beat you up. But that logic is insane. That's like LeBron James saying, I can't beat you in basketball, so let's wrestle instead. It's a complete admission of defeat, and fans see through it. The internet sees through it. The culture sees through it. Now, here's what I think is going to happen next. I think this civil war is going to continue. I think we're going to see more artists forced to pick sides. I think we're going to see more attempts to discredit Kendrick. And I think, ultimately, Kendrick is going to respond in the most devastating way possible with music. Because that's what he does. He doesn't engage in social media beef. He doesn't do interviews responding to every little comment. He just drops bars. And when he does, everyone else looks smaller. So 21 Savage can talk all he wants. He can challenge Kendrick to fights. He can call him a book bag rapper. But when Kendrick drops his next project, when he reminds the world why he's the best, all of this tough talk is going to look silly. And that's what I'm waiting for. Because I have a feeling Kendrick has been watching all this. I have a feeling he's been taking notes. And I have a feeling when he does respond, it's going to be nuclear. But we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, let's talk about what this all means for hip-hop moving forward. All right, so let's zoom out for a second and talk about the bigger picture here. Because this situation with 21 Savage and Kendrick isn't just entertainment. It's a reflection of something deeper happening in our culture. What we're witnessing is a battle between substance and spectacle, between skill and image, between authenticity and performance. And this battle isn't just happening in hip-hop, it's happening in every industry. Social media, politics, entertainment, everything. We live in a world now where people can become famous without being talented, where people can build massive platforms without having anything meaningful to say, where image and marketing matter more than actual ability. And hip-hop historically has been one of the last places where skill still mattered, where you couldn't just buy your way to the top, where you had to prove yourself, where legends were made through bars, not followers. But that's changing. And people like 21 Savage, whether they realize it or not, are part of that change. They're part of a movement that's trying to make skill optional, that's trying to make death unnecessary. And if we let that happen, we lose something important. We lose the soul of hip-hop. We lose the thing that makes it special. We lose the art. So what do? How do we fight back against this? Well, it starts with what we support, what we stream, what we celebrate, what we hold up as greatness. Every time you choose to listen to an artist that actually cares about their craft, you're voting for substance. Every time you support someone like Kendrick, you're saying skill matters.
Every time you call out the BS, the manufactured beef, the fake tough talk, you're protecting the culture. Because at the end of the day, the industry follows the money. If fans demand quality, labels will provide it. If fans reward depth, artists will create it. But if fans accept mediocrity, if fans let the anti-intellectual agenda win, that's what we're gonna get. So this isn't just about 21 Savage and Kendrick. This is us. This is about what we value. This is about what kind of hip-hop we want to exist in the future. And I don't know about you, but I want a hip-hop where lyricism still matters, where storytelling still matters, where artists are respected for their skill, not just per image, where legends are made through talent, not controversy. That's the hip-hop I grew up loving. That's the hip-hop that changed my life, and that's the hip-hop worth fighting for. Now, this story is far from over. More details are going to drop, more people are going to speak out, more developments are coming, and you know I'm going to be here covering every single twist and turn. So here's what I need from you. Drop a comment and let me know what you think about all of this. Do you think 21 Savage is out of line? Do you think Kendrick should respond? Do you think this anti-intellectual agenda is real, or am I reading too much into it? And make sure you smash that like button if you want me to keep exposing the truth about what's happening in hip-hop. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a single update, because I'm telling you, this situation is about to get even crazier. Thank you so much for rocking with me through this whole deep dive. I appreciate every single one of you. This is the type of content I live for. Peeling back the layers, exposing the games, and keeping it 100 with y'all. Stay locked in, stay informed, and remember, in a world full of fake tough talk and manufactured beef, real skill will always win. Kendrick proved that, and no amount of posturing is going to change it. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there, and don't anybody convince you that being intelligent is a weakness. Peace.